Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at a different kind of authority. It's not the kind you get from a PhD or a lifetime in a library.
No, this is the kind of authority that's forged. It comes from pure survival. We're talking about the wisdom you only get from an intense lived experience.
Right. It's like the difference between someone who's studied a war and someone who's actually got the scars from it.
Exactly. It's that unfiltered legitimacy, something a policy paper just can't ever capture.
Okay, so let's get into it because our subject today, Sérgio Rodrigues, is a perfect example of this.
He really is. He's a human rights activist, a social intervention specialist. He's based in Porto, Portugal.
And the sources we have are they're pretty powerful. It's a mix of a biographical sketch and what reads almost like a personal manifesto.
It really does. It lays out this incredible life of transformation. It's all about how years of addiction and homelessness actually shaped his work today.
So here's our mission for you. We want to unpack how that works. How do 11 years of substance dependency, 5 of them homeless, become the actual professional fuel for a career in activism?
It's about understanding what he means when he says his view of the world is completely unfiltered.
Let's start at the beginning then. To understand the man, you have to understand where he came from.
Absolutely. He talks about his life in terms of intense walking. He's 49 now, born and raised in Porto, but he spent 33 years in one place, the Bairro do Cerco.
And that's not just an address, right?
Yeah.
It's an education in itself.
It is. He says it taught him very, very quickly that the real world has no filters, no safety nets. That environment is what forged his defining trait. He calls frontalidade.
Frontalidade. So directness. How important is that specific trait to what he does now?
Oh, it's everything. It's not just being honest. It's a kind of raw, uncompromising directness.
The kind you learn when you have to.
Exactly. When you're in an environment where stakes are high, you don't use euphemisms. That trait gives him instant credibility with the people he's trying to help, and it's his weapon against bureaucracy. He speaks plainly because he learned to speak where life and death were on the line.
So that built his resilience. But then came the years that truly tested him. He talks about 11 years of active dependency.
And 5 of those is sem-abrigo, homeless.
And it's critical we don't, romanticize that.
He would be the first to say that. He refuses to. He describes it with just 3 words: cicatrices, eros, caedes.
Scars, errors, and falls.
It's blunt because the reality was brutal. There was no glamour in it.
So how do you take a reality that's just scars and falls and turn that into a mission? Where's the pivot?
The pivot is when he decides that history isn't something to be ashamed of, but it's data. It's a unique data set, a resource. He says it himself, that experience became his fuel.
And the scars.
The scars are his compasses. That's his phrase.
I love that. Scars as compasses. So what are they pointing him towards?
They point him toward authenticity, towards a real understanding of suffering. When he walks into a government office, his past it dissolves the distance. His compasses guide him to what people actually need, not what some theory says they need.
So that experience is the fuel, but there had to be something that kept him grounded through all that, an anchor.
There was,
Yeah.
and he's very open about it. His son, who's 12 now, he calls him his ancora y bussola.
His anchor and his compass.
Yes, and he says being a single father is the greatest title he'll ever have.
That's powerful. The street survivor, the activist, but also the devoted parent. That responsibility must add a kind of gravity to his work.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
It keeps the fight productive, not just destructive. And that foundation is what allowed him 20 years ago to move straight from his own recovery into professional social intervention.
Right. And this is where his career path gets really interesting. He didn't come in as a therapist or an academic. He started as a peer.
And for anyone who doesn't know harm reduction models, the role of a par is maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. He started with APDES, a big development agency in Portugal.
So what does a peer actually do?
A peer is someone who has lived the dependency, the homelessness, and now works directly with people who are still in that struggle.
So it's not about academic credentials.
It's about life credentials. It's about trust. A clinician might carry some judgment or just distance, but a peer can walk up to someone and say, I know exactly where you are, and it's heard as truth. Instantly.
He wasn't hired for his degree. He was hired for his scars.
Precisely. He was hired for his time on the street. He started with a risk reduction and harm minimization team, which is, that's the front line.
Handing out clean supplies, giving advice, building trust.
Yes, all of it. Meeting people where they are without demanding they change overnight. And the source is clear. Once he started that work, he never stopped. His recovery and his career are the same path.
So now he has this unshakable authority. How does he use it? He describes his worldview as critical, humanist, and direct.
He carries that frontalidade from the Bairro do Cerco right into the halls of power. He says he will not tolerate policies made, what's the phrase?
De costas voltadas para as pessoas.
With their backs turned to the people.
That's such a specific and aggressive accusation to level at policymakers. It's saying they're deliberately ignorant.
It is. Because he knows they sit in their comfortable offices writing rules for problems they've only seen from a car window. He demands that they turn around and actually face the people they're supposed to be serving.
And in a debate, his final argument is always his own story.
Always. His whole focus is on dignity, inclusion, and real solutions. And if anyone challenges his right to be at the table, he just ends the conversation with one line.
Porque já lá estive, e non esqueço.
Because I've been there, and I don't forget.
And what can you say to that? It just renders any theoretical argument completely meaningless.
It does. It takes away their shield. His advocacy isn't about what should happen, it's about what did happen to him. And that position is just unassailable.
Beyond this public confrontation, though, there was also a very personal, creative side to his transformation.
Right, the source lists, music, photography, literature, poetry, philosophy.
These weren't just hobbies. He saw them as tools.
They were tools for affirmation, not for escape. He understood that to lead, he had to first make sense of his own story. The arts gave him a language to describe that unfiltered reality he'd survive.
And all that personal work, all that creative work, it led to his biggest project.
It led to KSO.
KFES, Consumidores Asociados Sobrevivem Organizados, which translates to something like Associated Consumers Survive Organized.
It's the pinnacle of his organized resistance, the synthesis of everything he learned.
So why is queso so important in the Portuguese context? What makes it revolutionary?
Because it is the first and only association in Portugal led by people who use or have used psychoactive substances.
Think about that. For decades, all the policy, all the help came from outsiders, doctors, police, charities.
Exactly. This is self-determination. It completely flips the power dynamic from us helping them to us leading ourselves. It's a statement that the expertise born from struggle is the most valuable expertise there is.
And the way they describe themselves, Historia Viva and Resistencia Organizada.
Living history and organized resistance.
Those are not the words of a simple support group.
Not at all. They're a political force. Historia Viva means their survival is a historical fact, a living testament. And Resistencia Organizada means they are here to change the system. His personal scars became the backbone of a national movement.
Which requires an incredible amount of self-belief. And that brings us to maybe the boldest part of his self-assessment.
The goat.
The GOAT, greatest of all time ever.
Yes, a very deliberate, kind of funny nod to Cristiano Ronaldo, the Portuguese goat. It's an audacious claim.
But is it just ego? Or is it necessary?
I think it's absolutely necessary. He justifies it by saying his authority comes from life, not from books. When you're standing up to an entire system, you have to project that level of confidence in your unique knowledge.
He even says that egocentrism can be a form of self-love, of self-recognition.
It's the confidence you need to stand in a room of experts with advanced degrees and say, with all due respect, you're wrong. And I know you're wrong because I have lived the reality you've only read about.
It's the authority of the survivor.
Exactly. And that whole journey is summed up perfectly in his own words. He lays out the trajectory.
From Cerco to the country.
From the street to change.
From pain to action.
And finally, from survivor to leader of impact.
It's a perfect summary of turning pure adversity into public power. His leadership is effective because it's anchored in those raw, unfiltered truths.
And the lesson there for anyone in this field is that this lived experience isn't just a nice to have. It's arguably the most powerful and effective foundation for creating real change. It validates the knowledge that's written on the body, not just in a textbook.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. How often do we as a society dismiss expertise just because it carries scars? When we make policies about poverty or addiction, what crucial perspectives do we lose because we ignore the authority that comes only from being a survivor?
And think about what it would mean to truly respect and amplify that knowledge, the knowledge from the street, not the classroom. What potential do we unlock when the people who were once the subjects of intervention become the architects of the solutions?
Something to consider until our next deep dive. We'll talk to you then.